Before you talk about what you think should happen, what do you think will happen?
Well, in some ways we're living in the middle of a Michael Dobbs novel, aren't we? Except that in this case he hasn't written the last few chapters of the book, so you can't flick to the end and find out. The one thing I am certain about is that Chequers will not pass the House of Commons.
That's sort of yesterday's argument in a way, isn't it? We've gone beyond that to the question of whether there will be any kind of deal.
Well, we have consistently argued, in fact, we have pleaded with the Prime Minister, and I use the word quite deliberately, Ed, we have pleaded with the Prime Minister to pivot away from Chequers, which so many of our colleagues are adamantly against, and instead to pivot to a free trade arrangement, something often referred to as Super Canada, which Donald Tusk himself last week said the EU would welcome. We believe that's far superior to Chequers, and it has a chance of passing the House of Commons.
This is a slightly notional argument at the moment, because at the moment we're talking about the Irish border, crucially, and it appears that conversation is stuck. And you this morning, I believe, have actually been calling for cabinet ministers to push things along a bit by resigning.
No, I didn't call directly for cabinet ministers to resign, but I did say very clearly that this was time for them to stand up to the Prime Minister, and it was time for them to put their country before their careers.
And if you follow that logic, you presumably mean that they should hold out for something tougher than what we're being offered at the moment, what Britain is being offered at the moment. And it's pretty clear that the European Union isn't budging on the condition of the deal as it now stands.
Well, let's remember what happened in the run-up to Chequers, because that's very germane here. David Davis, as head of DEXU, had spent the best part of 2 years with his civil servants working up a white paper that was based around a free trade agreement, what we would now call Super Canada. At virtually the last minute, that white paper was dropped, and an alternative white paper drafted by Ollie Robbins, a very senior, very pro-EU civil servant, advocating Chequers, was inserted instead. And the cabinet were bounced. And there was all this ridiculous briefing about if you don't like it, there are taxi cards in the lobby at Chequers and you can get a cab home. I mean, what a way to treat your cabinet colleagues. So we believe what the cabinet haven't done, the unexplored option by the cabinet, is to debate the merits of Super Canada relative to Chequers. And if the cabinet wanted to pivot, then the PM would have to follow them.
But we haven't got to that stage yet, have we? I mean, we are stuck on the withdrawal agreement at the moment.
Well, what I'm saying is there is a better option, which, as I said, President Tusk welcomed last week. And we believe the cabinet should now do what they haven't done at all in this process, which is debate the merits of Super Canada, David Davis's original plan, wherein I think they will find it is superior to Chequers. The senior civil servants who are running this, and they are running this, are trying to drive Chequers through the cabinet remorselessly and then somehow think they can drive it through Parliament. I'm here to tell you, that is not going to happen. Chequers will never get through.
It looks very much, doesn't it, as if the possibility of no deal at all has grown. Are you happy with that?
Well, if no other arrangement can be found, then we would leave under no deal on the 29th of March 2019 and trade on WTO terms, which is how we already trade with the rest of the year, but to be clear, the rest of the world. But to be clear, our preference, instead of no deal, very clearly, is a free trade arrangement based on Super Canada. That's better than Chequers and better than no deal, and that's what we've been desperately trying to persuade Number 10. But unfortunately, at the moment, in the bunker, they're not listening.